this is a video. I need to speak a little louder because I realise that the microphone is not working or something on this computer. Excuse me. So it's a little video about contemporary pianists. Who I've heard, and I must admit that I haven't heard many pianists for a while actually, but these are still pianists who are performing, so it's still relevant, and I don't think there's anyone I've heard of who in the pantheon of contemporary pianists or artists and piano artists who have come up who I don't know about or I've never heard play, except for one called Yuchim Lim, I think. He won some competition or other recently. To be honest, he doesn't strike me as anything special, but I've never heard him live, and I'm only going by YouTube videos. I've heard him play Rack 3, not particularly special, although much was made of the conductor crying or something, but the conductor doesn't look as though she's crying to me anyway, and why on earth that would have any relevance as to the quality of the pianist, I have no idea. Anyway, in fact, the only time I would consider that would be if it was about a truly great artist, so for example Horowitz. Now there's a video on YouTube of Horowitz playing, and one of my old teachers, you could say, or was a friend really, but he also gave me a tip for the Andante Spianato of Chopin, and I went on a piano tour with him of Germany, but I was more of a spectator. He had a lesson from Horowitz, so this is Peter Feuchtwanger, the great piano teacher, who's also on YouTube and composer in some of his compositions. He had a lesson with Horowitz. Okay, it was a short lesson, and I don't know exactly what he, but it was about I don't know what it was about. Anyway, he had a lesson with him. Now Horowitz, I would consider someone crying listening to Horowitz could be a mark possibly of the power of Horowitz's piano playing, but then again it's still exceedingly dubious. But there is a video on YouTube of Horowitz playing that famous the one called Traumerei of Kindersalmon, Schumann, and then the camera pans to the audience as he's playing. You can see an oldish, quite old, he's probably my age, he looks quite older. It's in Soviet Russia, crying or weeping slowly. You can see tears slowly coming from his eye, and that sort of it is quite moving to watch, and that might possibly speak as to the profundity of Horowitz's playing, but I'm not going to be taken in by someone telling me, and I can't even see her crying, but telling me that the person conducting, who's a woman, as it happens, not that women can't conduct, I'm sure they make even better conductors than men. I'm just saying that a line of Shakespeare comes to mind: "I'll not let women's weapons waterwork stain my man's cheeks." That's King Lear. What I mean is that women have historically been known to cry more easily. I might just put that across to the people who talk about this perfectly good pianist Lim making a woman conductor cry. I think that the fact that she's a woman may have had something to do with her crying. If she was crying, I can't see her crying in the video, and more importantly, I can't see his playing as being anything special. Why on earth a conductor would weep because of the good playing of the pianist? You know, what a highly unprofessional thing to do. I have no idea. So I don't actually think she is. There you go. But apart from this chap Lim, I've never even heard of anyone who's very good. I must go and listen to Lim. I need to make sure that I'm right in my the enthusiasm for that. One person who I think is very good is Tiffany Poon. I've heard her in concert, and she's quite phenomenal. And so it's kind of like the opposite. So maybe I will find that this limb is actually much better than I thought, because this Tiffany Poon is even better than I thought from what I had heard of her on YouTube videos, in which she's very, very good, you know. But I had no idea that she was able to play some of the stuff which she plays. I mean, people speak of Yuja Wang, or Yuja, I don't know how to pronounce the name, and she seems extremely virtuosic and very, you know, good. And she plays some virtuoso pieces for sure, but you know, it's not really comparable to the way someone like Horowitz plays it. I'm speaking of the Carmen variations, which I think it was Horowitz transcribed them anyway. And she plays them. I've heard Volodus play this kind of thing. I've heard him play his own transcriptions, and he is a truly remarkable talent. But maybe Yuja Wang, if I see her, if I hear her in reality, I'll find that she's also like Volodus. But even on the YouTube recordings, you can see that Volodus has really got something special. In concert, Volodus is the most amazing pianist I've ever heard. I mean, it's just quite spectacular. But some people would say they don't want to see a gymnast when they go to listen to a classical music concert, and that's a perfectly valid point. By the way, on that note, I don't know if you've seen one of my previous videos about Shostakovich, about the book by Volkov, and that says how apparently Liszt, when he was older and didn't do any of this flamboyant playing with head tossed up and gloves in the air and all this sort of gymnasticism, he played transparently and clearly, apparently. This is according to Glazunov, who heard him play. Anyway, yeah. So I think Volodus has a bit of this gymnastics thing going on, but he is a true phenomenon, given that he is so good and it's so remarkable, and he did the transcriptions himself of many of these pieces. No, not all. He does some Horowitz transcriptions as well. Well, my point is that Yuja Wang is not Volodus. Yeah, my point is that Yucham Lim is not Horowitz either, and to pretend that they, you know, that we're back in the golden age of pianism is, frankly speaking, to stretch the truth too much for me. But they're very good, and I'm sure that they're up there with the very best. I just mentioned Tiffany Poon because she is also capable of doing everything which Yuja Wang does, and I would also say that amongst contemporary pianists there's a chap called Volodin, Alexei Volodin, and Tiffany Poon, the way she produces sound is unequalled amongst the young generation, which I don't think you can say about someone like Yuja Wang. Anyway, this chap called Volodin, Alexei Volodin, not Volodos, Volodin, is also truly remarkable, and I would hesitate to say that he's as good as Volodos. Maybe he's not as gymnastic. Again, that gymnasticism is not there as much, but let me tell you the recital I heard him play. He played Rachmaninoff's second piano concerto. Can you guess what the second half of the concert was? It was Rachmaninoff's third piano concerto. I mean, that is a mammoth concert. I've never heard anything like that. And to this day, that's the biggest concert I've ever heard. Double concert, you know. Okay, so I wanted to talk about contemporary pianists. And I also wanted to talk about just the ones that I've heard. So I've heard Brendel, and I've heard I heard him play the fifth Beethoven, the E flat concerto, number 5, and it was good, very good. And as an encore, he did this. Bit of volume up. Yeah. So that's, if anyone remembers, that was in London about 2001 or so, when he was still performing. Yeah, that was good. The concerto was good. Blah blah blah. Ashkenazi, I've heard conduct. He then played piano afterwards. This is in the Royal Festival Hall. He was conducting Martha Agaric playing some piece, and then they both played a piano duet afterwards. And I went out. In a huff because they had played Ravel's orchestration of Mussorgsky's Pictures, and I didn't like it. I didn't want to remain in there. Then I came back and I heard that they had been playing together downstairs in the foyer. I think it was the Royal Festival Hall. Yeah, it was. I think it was. It was the Queen Elizabeth Hall. I think it was. But then, I'm not sure if it was the Queen Elizabeth Hall. It was the main Royal Festival. Okay. So I can't speak of his piano playing, sadly, because I've heard a lot of his recordings. I think he's a very good Chopin player, and Rachmaninoff player. Ashkenazi, I like his versions of the concerti more than most. My favourite is of the third concerto is someone called what's his name? Yeah, Kempf, Freddie Kempf, and I heard him play the third concerto. Actually, he stood in for Voldemort, so he couldn't make it one day. It was very good. And subsequent to that, I've heard him play, and also heard him play in the hospital very well. Free of charge, he played this. Supposed to play the third concerto, the third sonata actually, but instead he played that for some reason. And that's actually happened once before when I was in Russia. Someone was supposed to play the third sonata and they ended up playing the Appassionata sonata. Oh, very coincidental. Neither of them seemed ready on the day to play sonata number 3. I don't think it's particularly difficult. It's certainly one of Beethoven's best, but it's not one of his most difficult, I think, unless I'm missing something. So this chap, Freddie Kempf, has a remarkable. So I heard him play two times. He has a remarkable rendition of the third concerto on YouTube, where he does such an incredible cadenza. The left hand produces such a power from the bass that I never heard anyone else play it like that. And it's much louder and more powerful than any other recording. I've heard lots of them on YouTube. So for that reason, I think his recording of the Rach 3 is the best. Just because that cadenza, I used to play that cadenza incredibly badly, but I did learn it, and it's not as difficult as it seems. But Lugansky did tell me, because I met him after or before a concert or after a concert, that not the third concerto, but I told him that I was learning it or I'd learned it or something, or something like that. The conversation got to the concerto number 3 and how difficult it was, and he said the most difficult part of it is that first movement cadenza. So, of course, Lugansky is a great pianist, and I want to talk about him because I've been talking about these modern pianists. He is a truly great pianist. I think it's Nikolaeva. Is it Tatiana Nikolaevna? I think that she played for Shostakovich, didn't she? She was a great proponent of Shostakovich's music, like Maria Udina was before her. She said that Lugansky is very special, so she was, I think, his teacher or something like that. Anyway, yeah, he is tremendous. If you look on YouTube at any of his stuff, he can play anything, and he plays everything. He does incredible recitals as well, especially Rachmaninoff. He does all the preludes, all the etude tableau in one concert, for example. It seems to me, and he does it. I may be mistaken. Maybe he does one of each. But in any case, it's a lot to ask of 24 preludes by Rachmaninoff in one single concert. Not many people do that. Yeah, he's very special. Very good. Never slips up, and there's a very good video of him playing. It's called Lugansky Chilling on Rach 3, or Chilling with Rach 3. You see him practicing before a concert of the third concerto. It's good one, that one. So he's a great pianist, up there with Ashkenazi. that's an opinion of my Beethoven and Tchaikovsky line teacher. She also thinks that Ashkenazy and Lugansky are the two top people, and Pletnyov, those three. Yeah, Pletnyov and Lugansky, and Ashkenazy she also liked when he played. So Pletnyov also still plays, and Lugansky still plays. Right? He gave a masterclass recently in Oxford. So, anyone else amongst contemporary pianists? Kissin. I went to his school in Moscow, and he's a living legend, as they say. But yeah, he's very good. I quite like his compositions as well, which he composes. Pretty good. And the Zelikman was his teacher, Tatiana, I think, Zelikman, in the Moscow school, which I went to. But of course, I can't be compared to him. He's great, and he's got a very good Rachmaninoff. What's about Rachmaninoff's Third Concerto? It's not the greatest piece ever. It's just that it's quite a good piece with which to compare pianists, I suppose. I haven't heard any woman play that actually. I haven't heard Tiffany Poon play it. I've heard her play the first piano concerto. I haven't heard Wang play it. I think I've heard her play. Who have I heard amongst the women? The female artists play that concerto. No, none that I can think of. Yeah, as I said, my teacher Musa Rubakaitia taught me a little bit of that third concerto, and she used to play things like that. She's on YouTube with other concertos, like the Liszt concertos. She's a Liszt specialist. Anyway, don't know whether she played that one. So talking about contemporary pianists, is there anyone else? Because when you think of contemporary pianists, you think of Poon, you think of Wang, and you think of Grimaud. Hélène Grimaud. I've heard her play the second piano concerto of Rachmaninoff very well. She's also a great artist. You think of those three women. Amongst the men, you think of Volodos, of course. You think of Hamelin as well. He's very good. And you think of Katsaris. Amazing. I mean, they're coming to the end of their careers, I get the impression. I mean, they're no longer young, really. And Volodos as well is coming to the end of his career, really. Maybe not young, I suppose. But Ashkenazy, I met Ashkenazy actually. He's coming to the end. He's a conductor now. Barenboim. He's never grabbed me, really. Barenboim. He's there. Anyway, I think I'll stop this video now because I'm not thinking. I can't remember any particular contemporary artists I want to talk about anyway. I think there's only one really great pianist amongst the men, and that's Volodos for me. He surpasses Hamelin even. Amongst the women, it's Tiffany Poon. She surpasses even Yuja Wang, in my opinion. So with that, I think I'll end this video. I hope it's been instructive. I'm no good, but my teacher is. She comes from the Beethoven and the Tchaikovsky line. So we did have a good teacher once upon a time, and she sort of taught me how to recognise a truly great artist. So I'd include Kiss in there as well then. So yeah. Thank you, and Ashkenazy and Lugansky and Brendel. Alfred Brendel. No, I'm not going to include Brendel because he misses out pieces of Schubert, I'm afraid to say. He misses out bits which Schubert wrote, and I can't consider a good pianist someone who misses out bits. Besides, he's no longer actively playing. Anyway, all the best. Bye bye.